Right?
deal.
Yeah, it's really cool.
All right, so we're gonna kick off basically.
Around without knowing, but
no. And you know what? I have had guys look back when I was catching, and you obviously could see it, and he couldn't see the catcher with the way he was looking right there.
Yeah, just did it again. And he pummeled it. He hit it a country mile for his second home run of the night.
Cool, and I wanted to throw that up there. It's relevant, right? Aaron Judge. I mean, what's he looking at, Greg? What's he looking at?
I think he's looking at the ball going 469 feet. What do you want me to tell you?
Wait, is this part of the like the sign stealing?
Yeah.
So
Go ahead. So he was accused last night of sign stealing.
This is recent.
Yeah, this is last night. So. What his side of the story was, he was talking to the dugout and telling he's a captain now, right? So as a captain, you got to do your best to keep your teammates in line. And he said he was kind of giving his guys a tongue lashing for chirping at the ref too much, or excuse me, the ump too much. But hey, look, it's baseball. Sign stealing has been part of baseball for as long as baseball's been around. And look, it's not the Astros, right? We're not banging drums. We're not making it really overt. He's doing what every baseball player does.
Don't the pitchers and catchers now have the they have like the devices, so like they're not even signing.
Yeah.
They're sending the signals via like a device or something like that. So you can't see.
I think it's
I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I think it's in the pitcher's hat.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But like you said, you hear it's the announcers, and classic Buck Martinez, former Orioles broadcaster. But you hear them saying,
I don't know what he's looking at, but he's certainly not looking at the pitcher.
You see him, they cut it, like he kind of looks over the dugout real quick, and right as the pitch is getting thrown. So it could just be like the greatest coincidence, right? Because then sure enough, like on cue, he launches one into the stratosphere.
A country mile, Eric. A
country mile. There you go. Good old country mile. So I had to throw that in there and just be like, hey, let's kick this off right. But despite that, I also just want to make sure we put this up there real quick. I just wanted you to make sure you saw that as well.
Man, it's hard to look at. I got to be honest with you. I saw a stat the other night. The
what
Yankees
universe are we in?
The Yankees payroll is $300 million, and as of last week, before they got a couple guys back, they had $200 million of their $300 million on IR.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah,
I think it's also safe to argue that Cashman's got to go, but
Oh, God.
For a while.
So tell me, are you happy with Baltimore and what they're doing right now?
I love it. It's been when the GM came in, like he said, it was, hey, we're gonna be hitting some dark times for the next couple of years, but it will pay off. Yeah. And you're starting to see, and I think it started paying off a little bit sooner than they expected, because they hit that hot streak. Like they got in such a hole to start the season last year, and then second half of the season they had the best record in baseball.
Yeah.
And so like even like, ooh, they could make a little push to the playoffs, but even then it's like, well, they're still not there yet, but I think they're ahead of schedule. And they're showing it, like the pitching strong, the guys that they've brought up, the guys that they've acquired over the last couple of years, like they're starting to hit their groove now. And so it's really exciting. But I mean, even looking at the standings too, I mean, it's funny because the AL East, every team is over 500. I think this, what was the stat or something? Every team in our division has a better record than the entire like American League Central.
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic.
The O's are in second, but they're only 3 games ahead of the Yankees. And
they're all above 5. They're all above 500.
All above 500. So it's a really competitive division. So the fact that the O's are sitting, in second place at the top of a competitive division feels really good. It's also May.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's early.
So I'm not, but they seem to be trending in the right direction to being competitive. I mean, they just took a series from the Rays. So they took 2 or 3 from the Rays. They took 2 or 3 from the defending champion Braves. I mean, they've only lost one series the whole season, and that was to who was that to? Oh no, maybe that was the Braves.
They lost the series to the Yankees.
So they've lost. I think they've lost maybe 2 series all season.
I'm
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
fascinated that baseball is considered like America's sport
Mhm.
in the fact that baseball is like the antithesis of the American sentimentality of I want everything. I want it right now. Actually, I wanted it yesterday, and I want you to make it as easy and as painless for me as possible.
I think it is
Right,
today. Like, yeah, it's the antithesis today.
But like that
You
that
think
sense
about-
of like baseball is all about like patience
Mhm.
and like taking your time and being like very deliberate and sort of like being willing to make like mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake to have that like one sort of thing and like constant practice and like over and over and over again of muscle memory and iteration and iteration and iteration. Like none of that seems to be in any way how somebody would describe America.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of controversy about the rule changes in baseball right now.
This year, yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I can sit for 3.5, 4 hours and watch a baseball game. I've done.
Yeah.
I think last year I watched 90 of the Yankees 160 something games.
Yep.
The rule changes, I'm a fan of them. Like, there's no reason a pitcher needs to stand around for a minute before he throws his next pitch.
It had become distracting to their sort of refocus on playing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like there sort of had become, I totally agree with you. I watched a couple. My son is just finishing his junior year in high school. He's a pretty decent baseball player. Their team, their record didn't really show, but they made some moves this year that hopefully set them up for a pretty good season next year. Anyway, he likes to nerd out on it. And I was asking him kind of his opinion, and he educates me on all that stuff. Cause otherwise I have like zero opinion. Ooh,
Gotcha.
that was weird. Oh, cause anyway, he's the one who said to me, it is making them have to play the way they play at his level, at the like high school kind of collegiate semi-pro level of getting back to the basics of get into a rhythm. And it became less like kitschy of just athleticism drives sort of the tone, kind of the speed of a play. And I was like, that's a really good point. So it's kind of cool. It makes it be a team. Like every player has to do their job again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
A lot more stolen bases this year, which is kind of fun to watch.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally changes the dynamic of it again, which makes now the catcher have to actually pay attention, makes actually the second baseman and the shortstop not just have to worry about fielding. And like, there's a whole nother dynamic that, as Josh is his name, said, watching it feels as if they are having to remember why they want to play baseball again.
Yeah.
I love the what are they only allowed to 2 pickoff attempts per runner or something like that now, which I love because it's like, all right, man, you can't hide now. Like you can't hide behind a pickoff. You gotta get it. So I think I think it's found a good balance to where it like benefits the hitters and the pitchers at the same time. I think a lot of times the game evolves to like benefit the hitters. And I think this has been a good balance.
So not to get off baseball, but
not to get off base.
Not to get off base, yeah. No. So what was the motivation for inviting Greg? Not that this is awesome, and that was a nice surprise to see you. But yeah, I'm just like, what was your?
Well, like I said, so like Greg and Sarah are the probably literally they are like the furthest friends to Meg and I. But so if they're the furthest away, but they are probably my closest
geographically.
Friends. Geographically, yes, thank you. But from a personal level, they're probably my like closest friends. And like you have like really great friends when you can probably not talk for months. I think at one point, like maybe even like a year at a time. And as soon as you like someone initiates that text, you just kind of pick up where you left off. There's no awkwardness. Like it's just each other and you know each other's lives. And so it's been a while, I think, since we've talked. and you guys are going to be in town this week for a wedding.
Yep.
And so I was really excited about that. I was like, hey, you know what? Actually, like, be fun to have. It was fun having Allie on the other day. Fun having a guest. And I was like, hey, Greg's gonna be around. We haven't talked in a while. I know you've been making some moves in the CrossFit world. I mean, since the last time you were here, and I think let me see. I don't have a picture of the last time you were here. I just went crazy. Like, here's one from a couple years ago.
That was
she
that was
pulls off
80s
the
night.
80s. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that
guys
was
pull
80s
off
night.
80s really, really well.
Yeah.
I got a few more will pop up, but anyway, it was just one of those, like, yeah, like, it's, I love talking to Greg, and you've also been, I remember you came to do a workout when we were still in the garage. Like, you've been one of our Fairwind's biggest supporters from a distance. So like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a little while since I've been to Maryland. The last time I was in, Sarah's been several times, but the last time I was there was 2019 before COVID, and we had a trip planned right around COVID time, and life got busy. My oldest is now in college. I have a senior in high school and a junior in high school, so
yeah,
things happened, and it was easier for my in-laws to travel to us. So that's kind of what it's been.
And then, and you representing, I was pulling up real quick, Blue Cord CrossFit, right? That's where is that your gym?
Yep. Blue Cord CrossFit in Glen Eagle, Colorado. The owner's name is Andy Schneider and his wife, Rachel. Wonderful, wonderful community. We've been there now. I think we've been there now 3+ years. A lot of our friends from a previous gym joined us there, and we really enjoy it. Great people, great coaching, great coaches. We're really thankful.
I just saw the dogs.
Lots of dogs.
Yeah.
That's my buddy Mark. Mark is I think he's 55, and he's just a freak athlete. Like, just he was a D1 swimmer, and he's right on the cusp of games qualification. He's that good.
That's
So
no joke.
yeah.
And
I got my eye on the 65 plus age
There you
group
go.
category. That's what I'm gonna hold. I'm holding strong for that.
I'd like to do that category right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping they open it up.
I don't even know if I can make it in that category. Give me the 65-year-olds. Oh, nope, that was a mistake.
I think I would have placed 4th in the women's 65 plus last year. Yeah.
I watched some. I was
Were there
watching
only
a
2 women,
TikTok.
though?
I was watching a TikTok video last night, and it was this 80-year-old lady, and she was deadlifting 315 pounds, and I'm like, man,
That's awesome.
so
That's
cool,
So awesome.
so cool.
God.
So we recently started a they're called the Creaky Beasts. So it's a seniors masters seniors class, whatever you want to call it. And it's a bunch of our members' mothers right now, and they are a freaking riot. But it's so fun. Like, it's funny coaching that group, and this is coming from, like, at the most, like, Drew's mom is probably, I mean, I'd say she's probably the most athletic, and she's super active. Like, this one, I can't think how old she is. She's in her 60s, maybe 70s. Anyway. But it's so much fun watching them just do even simple stuff. Like, they did wall balls yesterday where they just kind of squatted to a box and threw it on the wall. And I actually found coaching them is a lot like coaching the kids, where it's like, hey, as long as they're moving and having a good time, great. As soon as it seems like they're not having a good time, move on.
That's right.
And
Don't be tied, right? Don't be tied to it's a 7-minute AMRAP. You hit 4 minutes. Well done. You're done.
Right. And but you get them on, like, the C2 bike, and about, like, 45 seconds in, and one of them's like, oh, I need to stop. This is getting a little too much. I need to stop. And it's just like, with, like, sweet, like, grandma voice. It's so much fun. So
That is cool.
yeah, I hope to get to that point. Well, I will definitely get to that point. I hope I'm still moving at that point.
I want to be active.
Yeah.
My mom and dad, they're snowbirds, so they're in Florida half the time, and they have a house on a lake up in New York, and they were pretty inactive for a number of years, and I was really worried about them. And my dad decided he wanted a dog, and my mom was pretty against it, and my dad won, which was pretty cool. and they got an Australian and an Aussie doodle. And I said, Dad,
Aussie dude.
like I'm so Australian Shepherd,
that
poodle. Yeah. I said, Dad, like that dog needs a lot of exercise. He goes, I got it. I'm going to take care of it. He's walking the dog 3 miles a day. He's lost 50 pounds.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
The dog has.
Yeah, the dog. Yeah, the dog is like that big.
So Eric, do you want me to pose to Greg kind of that Andy's question? I feel like this is a very easy pivot, or not even pivot.
Yeah,
but
I didn't even intend to, but yeah,
it feels as if this is where we're going anyway. So our buddy Andy Hunt, who is usually the one live viewer, sometimes one of two, but he proposed a topic which he and I talk about often, is the idea of longevity, and he sent this screenshot of Annie Sakamoto speaking to Morning Chalk Up, but I think it was just an article that she they gave her a workout right before quarterfinals. It was that like the handstand push-up and dubs or something, but it was like a freestanding or Diane. It was like something freestanding Diane, or I can't remember, but it had freestanding handstand push-ups in it. And they were like, can you do this? And she's like, no. And they're like, well, what about if we give you 30 days? Can you do it like in a month? And she did. Wow. And there's like a video like of not time lapse, but showing kind of her progression of getting to where she can do it. And granted, where she was starting from is pretty far from where most people. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But still, the delta from where she was to when they filmed her doing the actual workout and doing it RX and doing it in a reasonably respectable time for what the stimulus of the workout was, is amazing. And her point at the end of it was, this is what CrossFit has facilitated me being able to do, is I could do the same types of workouts for the rest of my life, but CrossFit allows her to still challenge herself with skills that would otherwise be perceived as impossible for somebody of her age, of her athletic ability or whatever. But CrossFit has taught her that if I'm willing to put in the time, kind of nothing is impossible.
That's amazing. Yeah.
In a sense. And so he was, his first question was this idea of longevity. If somebody's new to the box, say like in their first, second, third, by the time they're in their fourth year, I don't really consider that new anymore. They've had enough cycle times, but that first year, second year, maybe even into the third year, what would somebody who's been doing this 5, 10, 15 years tell them is the most important thing to facilitate being able to stay in the game long-term? Yeah. I just already changed the question, so probably not worth flashing that up. Andy likes
flash what I can.
I think it's really interesting, right? So I think I'm about to start my 9th year. I had a little break in there. I hurt myself, and I actually didn't hurt myself at a CrossFit gym. I hurt myself at the YMCA doing dips at a bar that was too wide.
Doing the dips.
So, that's right.
Dangerous YMCAs.
That's right. That's right.
Rhabdo too.
You did at that same time, or you have also given yourself rhabdo?
That's where people get rhabdo, is the YMCA.
That's all right. I've never had rhabdo. I don't think I'm in good enough shape to get rhabdo. So.
That's actually funny. That's a good, right? You're like, I'm not tough enough. I quit way before.
I'm just past deconditioned. I'm never too far past that. I'm not deconditioned.
I'm kind of the same way. I feel like I could turn off switch.
Yeah.
But then there's still that, like, I get to a point where I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's dumb. That hurts way too much. I'm good. Like
the pain in 2 days is not worth the dopamine dump that I'm gonna have right now for finishing it. So.
Right, exactly. I'll walk it out here.
That's right. I think it's very true. So when you do, we have new people coming in all the time, and it's fun to watch them, right? Because I remember where I was at when I came in. Even when I went back to CrossFit the second time, When I went back, I was 290 pounds, and I was afraid, like, because I knew the pain that was coming.
Yeah.
And my first WOD back was 100 burpees over box. And I remember at 290 pounds, like, everybody was done in, I don't remember, 18 minutes. And they're standing around watching me and cheering me on. And I'm like, just shut up. I don't want to hear
leave
it.
me
Leave
alone.
I'm dripping wet. And it was hard, but you do have that muscle memory. That muscle memory comes back quickly, especially when you have good coaching, right? So good coaching helps you develop the form. It helps you develop the muscle memory that really works you through those times where your mind is saying no, but your body is able to push through that. And I think Annie's statement is pretty interesting. I have a friend of mine, Jared Enderton, who you guys have had on the podcast and had out to the gym to do some seminars. And I want to put it in context, right? Annie is one of those exceptional athletes. She's that 0.001%, right? Jared's in that 0.001%. Their body responds quicker than most people do, right? So if they don't do something for a period of time, it's going to come back much quicker than, an average athlete, which I would consider myself average to slightly above average. But when you put the time in, when you put the work in and you develop those healthy habits, your body will come back a lot quicker. And I appreciate the fact that to be in this sport, to do what we do on a daily basis, 99.9% of the world can't do this on a daily basis because they're not in that type of shape. And this sport helps us develop that long-term muscle memory that keeps us healthy. And that's what I want. I want to be healthy. Unfortunately, I was sharing with Eric, I'm not healthy right now. I had an injury. I played basketball growing up and took a lot of hip pointers where you bruise your hip. And what I learned from my orthopedist is when you damage a bone, it actually grows back thicker and stronger. So my hip, if this is the socket and this is the femur where it goes into the socket, the bone at the top of the femur has gotten so thick that it's impinging on my labrum. So I have to have arthroscopic surgery on July 11th, where they're going to go in and they're going to actually shave down both sides of my femur, and then I have what's called a complex tear in my labrum. So the MRI is only as good as the technology is. And I looked at the thing and I didn't see anything. It was just a big blob, right? And the doctor's like, "Oh, it's right here.
Oh, it's right there. I can see it. Yeah.
And
You say so,
upper
Doc.
dorsal
That's right.
lateralus, we got it.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right. It's like looking at an ultrasound of your baby. And
Right.
you're like, so is this a boy or a girl? And she's like,
Oh,
yeah, it's
okay.
right there. That's what you're looking for, right there.
So
But
you're
anyway,
telling me I'm having an alien.
that's
Awesome.
right. That's right. So anyway, he's going to go in and he's either going to repair the labrum or he's going to replace it with an IT band from a cadaver. So
Sweet.
that's coming
Zombie
up.
leg.
That's right. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for.
How do
hoping
they
it'll make me
how do
half
they
human.
ensure that after they shave the bone down, it doesn't again grow back bigger again? Right? If it's the same, do they?
I mean, what's the difference between injuring it and shaving it down?
Do they
Like,
coat it? Do they coat it with like some sort of like super space polymer or something, right? That like, or is it we'll do this with, this should be good for about 15, 20 years. We'll come back in, do a little maintenance, when you're in your 80s.
If I'm just spray some like olive oil on it or something, just to give it a little slick.
That's right. That's right. Put a little WD-40 in there. Yeah.
I like it. Great mind.
I mean, I think a hip replacement is in my future. He did say that that's something that I'll likely have to have. But keeping your own body parts for as long as you can is the goal. Yeah.
All right. So that's a great. A, sorry to hear that. B, though, I'm glad that you are in a physical position that I'm sure the surgery will go fine and the doctors will, you know what I mean? Like you've set yourself up to be
What's funny,
able to recover because you do have a fit, healthy lifestyle. So that's all good. What were you going to say?
You even said, Greg, your doctor was like, no back squatting more than 225 pounds or something like that, right? It's like, oh, that's
for
a lot of people,
Right.
that's more than enough.
That's their PR, right?
That's right.
So,
Still, like,
but so
despite
that's
that,
like Andy's question of like, what's the one thing? I feel as if you fall right into that category. Are you still, and this is it's kind of rhetorical. I mean, you pick up, like, are you still doing something every day?
Yeah, I mean, not every day, right? So,
Right. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
are you still, is 30 to 45 to 60 minutes a day where your heart rate is elevated, you maybe sweat, maybe do something, but you're placing yourself in an artificially stimulated, extreme, not even extreme, but like elevated physical strain that, unless we lived intense and we're running to catch our food every day, like, in a sense, something you wouldn't innately have to do in our modern contemporary world, are you still placing yourself under duress in some way in 4 to 6 times a week?
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of CrossFit, right? It's scalable, and that's what I've been doing. So yesterday, the workout, the weightlifting component was back squats with a pause, and then the WOD was supposed to be 6 rounds, 11-minute time cap.
Quick
You
rounds.
run 200 meters and do 15 wall balls in 11 minutes. It was a burner. That's a burner.
Right? That's a 1 minute run, and then you got to knock those wall balls out in less than 30, 45 seconds.
It was a burner.
Damn.
So for the weightlifting component, I followed my doctor's orders. I put 225 on the bar, which is for me, that's a lightweight. It's just not, it's not heavy. And I squatted to a box and did all the reps, because I'm not supposed to go past parallel, because that's when it inflames.
That's when it pinches,
it hinges. And then for the WOD, instead of running, because running just puts too much compression on the hip, I got on the Echo bike. And I'll tell you what, it was brutal. It was 15 calories on the Echo bike, 15 wall balls.
That's
and
mean.
I did all the wall balls unbroken, and I time capped at 11, and I had 4 reps, so I was 11 plus 4. I mean,
so close.
Yeah, but
that's probably that
dead.
time cap, right? That time cap's on purpose.
Yeah.
I think for like most people are probably going to time cap in, I would imagine, the 11th, 12th round, like almost finishing. Yeah. I think it was probably, we had about 65-70% that finished, and the other were close. That's which I'm sure, and I'm sure some of those that finished probably were still scaled. But that aspect of how long did it take you as a CrossFitter to kind of welcome the habit of, so the folks at Street Parking have like a term, they call it fitness freedom, which I really enjoy, that they design their program specifically to facilitate something is always better than nothing. So if the program is that, what you just said, it was running and wall balls, I don't have a wall ball and it's 13 degrees outside, they are specifically designed dumbbell thrusters or dumbbell single thrusters and burpees over the dumbbell, or like they have an infinite amount of ways to modify something, so that, I don't want to do any of that. I'm just going to ride 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 12 intervals, or you know what I mean? And they'd be like, great. If that's what you need today, that mentality for me, I would say, set in probably wasn't even until 3 or 4 years ago, opening the gym, the summer after I retired from the Navy, and that summer of kind of having time, but then all of a sudden not having time. Mm-hmm. Whatever was programmed, I was like, well, I got 45 minutes to get it done, so I don't really give a shit what's programmed. I'm going to do something that's close so I can have a taste of it and see what people are doing, but I really don't care. I just want to move for 45 minutes. It was the fittest I'd ever been in a long time, because the consistency was there, because I let myself off the hook of feeling like everything had to be perfect, right? Like I had to be able to do it this way. It had to be it had to be in line with the program or whatever. No, and I heard it in the street parking folks called, the fitness freedom idea. When did that sort of like hit for you as far as, because that's my answer to Andy's question is if I were to say to somebody, I'd be like, let go of this feeling that like whatever's written on the board, I don't give a shit. The fact that you're standing in front of the coach and at class today, awesome. And even if you can't make it at class today, do 15 minutes of burpees in your garage or in your basement or in your living room, or just hold a squat for 10 minutes. And then, I don't like whatever, move for 15 to 20 minutes, no matter what, at least once a day. And I guarantee you over the course of 5, 10, 15 years, you'll be a better physically healthy person. When did that sort of land for you?
So I think most of us in the CrossFit universe, right, are fairly competitive people. Like, right?
That's so funny. I love it. Yeah, totally. It's the burden of competition.
That's right. And I think that's what's attractive to a lot of people about the sport. Some people, I think it intimidates, but for most of us, the competition piece is fun. So having to scale things, it's still there's some mental gymnastics that happen in there, right? I should be able to say that too. I feel like I can probably out-compete this one person, but I'm not there right now.
You're having hip surgery in 6 weeks.
That's right.
Major surgery.
I think, but to answer your question, COVID was really when that hit for me. We, just like you guys did, we had a lot of virtual workouts, right? And I had limited equipment. And being able to do something rather than nothing, especially in a time when who the hell knows what was going to happen tomorrow, right? Yeah. Every day was different. Having that opportunity to be able to move and get those endorphins going and do something with my family. Like we spent a lot of time. Yeah. Here she comes.
Dude, you do pull off the pirate. I'll tell you, man. It is a good look.
I appreciate that. It was one of those decisions where it was kind of I did it when Sarah was out of town. There wasn't much left up. There wasn't much left up there anyway.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? If we're gonna do it, I need to try it. So and this was the perfect time, and I got a lot of good feedback. So I kept it.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
It's a good look.
Hell yeah.
So,
anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, I think COVID was that time for me. What about you, Eric?
Honestly, I'd probably say it's probably hit me the most and the hardest. Probably within the last month. Like really, like for me, because like I think I've with a lot of stuff I've had going on, I'm kind of holding myself to the standard of like you hear it all the time, like if you're running a gym, you should be doing your affiliates programming. And I put all this pressure on myself to do the class, or I would even try to do the workout for today, so that I could have a better understanding of what the workout will be like when I coach it. And I was doing that. But then I'm also finding like, okay, so like a morning like today where I coach 5:15, 6:15, 9:30, and I have the podcast. And then as soon as I'm done, I'm home. The kids are home. Meg is currently, she has one more week of maternity leave, and then I'm on duty. Yeah. But at that same time, I need to find an hour to work on the business. So like right now I'm at a point where like, all right, I've already spent multiple hours working in the business, coaching 3 classes. I need to get my workout in. I need to find some time to work on the business. So some of the back end stuff. So like today I was going through the budget and this and that. So that doesn't leave me a whole lot of time to get like a full hour in. So like you said, Jack, I looked at the whiteboard today and I was like, well, the workout today was, we had an EMOM of some snatch work, and then a 12-minute AMRAP of dumbbell snatches, overhead lunges, and double unders. And I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at the whole class plan laid up. I was like, well, if I want to get everything done, I need to get done. I also wanted to play around to get some stuff ready for the podcast today. I really have maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, I'm glad you got that workout done before I came, because that sounds horrible.
It's actually not. It's like it's a 10x1 snatch where you only work up to 70. I'm looking at your programming right now. You only work up to a 75% of a one rep max snatch. So to me, that feels like I totally interrupted you. Where were you going? Like if I was programming for you, I just tell you, I would tell you
when I was looking, I was like, I could
go
either.
ahead. You go.
I was in my mind. I was like, do I do the snatch work? Like I could do the snatch work. I could do both because the snatch work warms you up nicely for that WOD anyway. But like I've been working on my shoulders have been like extra tight next. I've been going to FX Physical Therapy. Make sure to check them out. Shout out to them. Just working on the shoulders, and so like getting to that overhead position, especially getting into a squat, has been a fun challenge. So I took a light bar and I warmed up and I worked on getting the positions. I did a little mobility. I did that for 10 minutes and then did a couple quick warm-up rounds with the WOD and then hit the WOD. And I got it all done in 30 minutes. I kept it relatively light. Like I think I did a 25-pound dumbbell because again, that overhead lunge was going to be the challenge, and it really was able to focus on that. I got the jump rope in. So again, within 30 minutes, I got it all done. And it's better. And it was definitely way better than nothing. And so a lot of it, so I'd say honestly, like if I've been holding myself to this standard of, well, I've got to do the whole class because I need to know this, or I should be doing this entire workout because who am I to be telling people to do this, but I'm not even doing it myself. And then at the end of the day, it's like, well, don't we also just tell people be consistent? And that's the most important thing. And so I've been putting on my calendar, I work out at 8 a.m. and that's kind of like, so if anyone looks at my calendar, it's there. And if it ends up being the whole class, or if it ends up being a 30-minute chunk of fitness freedom, that's what it is. And so I think I'd say like short answer to that question is really in the last month. I've probably thought about it for a long time, but I've actually put it into practice for myself most consistently in the last month.
Look,
so
you got a busy life right now, man. You got 3 young kids. You got a business. You got to give yourself some grace too. Like the fact of the matter is that we go through seasons, right? I'm in one of those seasons right now. One of my kids has been in the hospital for a while, and finding the time, like it bothers me that I'm only able to get to the gym 4 days a week when I feel like I should be there 5. Well, I'm in the season. I'm in a season right now.
So that's a great transition. We'll go around the horn.
Love my wife. She's the best.
And I'm sorry to hear about that. That's tough, dude.
It's been rough.
I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
What do you eventually, or do you find yourself kind of always coming back to? I always think of it like it's like we all have this same thing in like meals, movies we watch, TV like we always come back to watching Seinfeld. It's like or Friends or
Sopranos.
Or
I just turned it on yesterday.
Right. There's always that thing that it doesn't matter. You're like, I only got like 20 minutes. What am I? I'll throw on an episode of Friends. Right. Like in the fitness, in this same category, or in the same mindset or same idea, what in the fitness world, it could be, actual named workout. It could be a structure. It could be whatever. But like Eric was saying, I had 30 minutes. Let's say it's like you have 20 minutes. The in-laws are going to be here in 40. You got to finish the workout, clean up, grab a quick shower, and be ready to say hello when they get here. What do you go to? What's your go-to?
Well, I think what keeps me coming back this is a 2-part answer. Community is what keeps me coming back, right? That's one of the beauties of CrossFit, and the fact that we have this community where we spend time together and we're pushing towards a common goal. But for me, if I had 20 minutes, I'm going to pull out the rower and a dumbbell, and I'm going to do some type of a I don't know, some type of an AMRAP, row 500, then do some shoulder to overhead or some snatch or something like that. And rowing, like, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5" and I weigh 260 pounds. So
say Jack, you huff and puff. This is a tall dude. 500 meters is a couple pulls and he's off. So
that's right. So
Andy
the machines are where I feel the most comfortable. I'm able to separate myself on those things. And it's actually, with my hip injury, it's been a little discouraging because I'm not able to generate the power, right? It's mostly arms right now. So where my fastest 500 meter ever was 130, if I'm rowing a 145 or a 155, I'm happy right now to be able to get to that. So, but yeah, rowing and some type of a dumbbell movement, shoulder overhead is something that keeps me moving forward.
That's awesome. I am similar, even though I am 5 foot nothing, and I also go back to the rower, and not because it's like I'm dominant in it. It's because it's so familiar and comfortable. But for me, it's also the biggest bang for your buck. Like it is the monostructural movement to me that feels the least monostructurally. Or monostructural, or it feels almost more like a weightlifting, so I throw it in, but I don't do. Yeah, I hate AMRAPs
because it's such a big range of motion compared to
yeah. So it's so funny you go through. I always do alternating EMOMs. I always will throw rowing. I do like the dumbbell. I like that you move that. I agree, like because it's so less pain, like a barbell, plus the way my gym is set up, like I gotta get the barbell out and then I gotta get the plates on it, whatever. I grab a dumbbell and it's out, but it's so less painful on like shoulders and my collarbone, and like so I could get a 70-pound dumbbell moving pretty quickly with little to no warm-up, but can settle at that 35, 40, 50 range and get something relatively heavy moved. But then, of course, I always throw in like burpees in there somewhere, and then some sort of like static hold of some sort. And like, so like that 20 to 25 minute, 4-ish, 5-ish times through, right? And then like 3 or 4 movements. That's what I always end up grabbing. Like it's that thing of like, you look at the pro, you're like, Mom, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do this instead. It's always some sort of alternating EMOM with the erg. And then like I totally agree. I think the dumbbell is such an underrated piece of equipment that somebody's like, I need to get a 20, 25, 30, 35, maybe a 50, or just a really heavy paint can, and you can get a lot done.
Back to your longevity question, oftentimes it'll be a 50-pound dumbbell on the board or whatever, right? And a ton of reps. And I'm just not feeling it that day. So I'll take that ego hit and I'll use the 35 and I'll feel great the next day versus being miserable.
Yep. That's it. I love the way you say that, Greg. That is something that has hit me in the last year and a half, 2 years of, I don't want to feel like shit for 2 to 3 days after workout, but yet still do it RX or to hit, like, because you don't feel it immediately. There is that dopamine dump. I like the way you said that earlier of like, fuck yeah, that was awesome. And then like it almost is remnant. It's almost remnant of the days when you would go out boozing, right? And you're in your 20s or whatever. And it was that badge of honor that you get up the next day and then you hit like 30, 35 and you're like, it takes me a month to recover from a really hard night. I'm not doing that anymore. I got to go to work. Yeah. So that's, look at
that beauty.
Look at it is. We get the whole family.
Yeah. How are you? Sorry, I'm late to this party.
This is no girls allowed.
Oh, Eric. Oh, she's out.
Where did I go? Oh, okay.
She definitely makes the three of us look better. So
I'm doing really well. Are you guys physically in the same location? Like, are you at the same?
No, I am in Odenton, Maryland, and Greg is in Colorado Springs. Sorry, my dog or my mom's cat is very curious about what is happening.
I'm really allergic. Keep it off the screen.
So then how much longer until you come out, Greg? The weekend?
I come out tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm planning on I'm hoping to be at the gym on Thursday and maybe on Friday morning, depending on how I feel after Thursday.
Fun. What class are you going to go to on Thursday?
Eric, what time did we talk about? I can't recall.
We're talking 9:30.
Yeah, that's right. Those early ones are too early for me coming from Mountain Time. That's
Totally on board there.
3:30 my time, 4:30 my time. I don't think that sounds right. So
No thanks.
It's an unholy hour.
Yeah.
Also, I was listening in about kind of juggling life and work. And I got to say, Eric, I'm with Greg. Not only because we're married and I think he's brilliant and handsome, but also because you just generally,
We're not
I
married.
think giving yourself grace is
He's brilliant and handsome. Okay. Thank you. I
is
appreciate
a
it.
good sort of rule of thumb.
Yeah, I'm working on it. We were talking about last
So-
week too. It doesn't have to be an every week time, but yeah, working on it.
one of the things that we were talking about while you were listening in was longevity and also dealing with some injuries. And you've been going through some stuff recently. Why don't you tell them what's going on?
Yeah, it can be really discouraging because at some point you were capable of doing things, and so I injured my shoulder, and I think it was a result of after 2 weeks of not working out. I think I was traveling, and I came back about it like at a time when they were doing a really hard workout, and there were toes to bar, and I was like, oh, I can do those. Those are a thing I can do. And so I did them, and then I was in a great deal of pain after and have been ever since. So it's a little bit of a challenge to understand where your body is and then respond to the workout in a way that it honors sort of where your body is in the process and also is effective. So
not to get too nerdy, and I will try to limit myself to like 30
Bring
seconds
it.
or less. So I'm almost through for the second time reading this book that we are making our nerds read this summer by Jenny Odell is the author, and it's her second book. It's called How to Save Time. Her first one was How to Do, or maybe Saving Time. It's called Saving Time. Anyway, the conceit being sort of this really, really long metaphorical examination of sort of both cultural, social, economic concepts of time. And so she does an amazing job. But one of the things, and as you were saying that, Sarah, about the sense of your previous self, and so toes to bar sort of being this thing that, Sarah 6 months ago, a year ago, 10 years ago was able to do, is in conversation with your current self, but also sort of at the expense of future self. And so her idea being that we give agency to these versions of ourselves that were past and future without the associated cost of that agency for our current self. And that sense of time sort of expanding and constricting, like the past self was a real person, but they know they're an artifact at this point. Like they don't exist anymore. And in a sense, the future self doesn't exist except as a function of the choice and the agency that you have right now. And that sense of, so often we spend all of that capital, all of that future self capital in the moment based on past self's opinion, which is all bullshit because that person doesn't exist anymore. So
sadly,
the mental gymnastics, as Greg said earlier, is to ask, okay, well, no, wait, what do I want right now? Well, I don't want to feel like shit in 15 minutes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so
There's a self-deterministic aspect to what you're talking about, right? That future self you're building on a daily basis, and you have the opportunity to kind of determine on any number of factors.
yeah. So you tell the person who's like, oh, I can do toes to bar. Hey man, I hear you. And that was awesome. But look, there's a lot of us in this bus. You're going to need to get in the back seat because, floor V-up guy is driving today, and he's going to love the way his abs feel when this is over, and that his shoulder doesn't hurt for the next year and a half and require a slap tear surgery.
Yeah. And also, I think it's coming to
toast.
terms with your body changes, like as you age.
Did you see Eric change your name?
Oh my God. And perhaps will someday.
Yeah.
Again.
And if you don't, who the hell cares?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's
That
so
is true.
it
is
doesn't
true.
matter. I mean, if Adrian Bosman has anything to say about it, they won't ever be in the open again. We'll be doing V-ups on the floor from here on out. And those are
did you-
harder.
Did you ever hear that? Development. I was going there, babe. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Who's on there?
Oh, look at that. We share one brain.
You guys are so good.
We
You have-
Patrick Zellner came out and said that he'll never do GHDs after he stops competing because of the impact it has on your back.
He's a chiropractor. He's a doctor of chiropractic medicine.
Oh, Vellner, yeah.
Yeah.
I am. So in that sense, I would disagree with him. Just from I do them. I have like a rig set up. I don't have like the gym GHD thing, but I would say his sentiment of what he's saying is, yeah, there's no benefit doing 50 GHDs for time and then doing something else and then another 50 GHDs for time. But to do like 10 slow, well-controlled GHDs of that full flexion, full extension, like that is, I find that is one of the most beneficial things for me maintaining my low back health in a world where I spend a lot of the rest of my day hunched over doing something else. So getting that lumbar flexion extension. But there are other ways to do it. But I actually, and for me, the vestibular kind of proprioceptive of like getting upside down and getting back up, it's not awesome. Doesn't feel awesome afterwards, but I do notice that it helps with my balance and my sort of vestibular health that is already something that I find degrades. So I would disagree with him in the sense of I will never do a GHD. I would say don't do 50 for time and let it determine how you're going to pay your mortgage next month. In that, he is 100% correct.
Yeah, and maybe that's what he was. That's very likely what he was talking about. That
He's too
sort
smart.
of tension,
Yeah.
tension under like
Wow.
that pressure.
Wow.
Yes, that whipping around, all of these dynamic movements, and many of them with a lot of weight. I think that's where I find I have the most struggle now, and so being more intentional, slower, being more attuned to those smaller muscles and those gross muscle groups have been really helpful for me.
So I'm glad you brought that up too, but that was a really good transition because this is, I think, still tied with then Andy's, our friend, longtime listener, new watcher of the live stream.
Thor's Hammer 97.
Andy's Thor's Hammer. Anyway, yeah. This idea of longevity, I think Greg brought up the really good point of that idea of that the competitive mindset or that competition itch blinds us to maybe what is in our best interest for long-term health.
Mm-hmm.
When we as a community find ourselves equating what the CrossFit athletes, the professional CrossFit athletes are doing at even the semifinals, the quarterfinal, semifinal, and then games level competition, I feel like we're conflating the goals of the two endeavors. That it would be as if you right, Greg, you said you played basketball, playing pickup basketball, and somebody playing through a torn ankle injury. Like they do something like, hold on, they go to the sideline, they wrap it up, and they're like, I'm back in the game, I'm all right. And you're like, Joe, what the hell are you doing, man? This is like, why? This is PAL league. Like, go to the flipping hospital and get yourself checked out. No, I got it. Right? It's like, this is not the NBA finals, right? Like you are not going to lose your Adidas sponsorship if you go to the hospital right now. So that aspect of those Chandler Smith, they did he was on the Buttery Bros video where he was on a phone call with his agent, with his dad played pro football. Like he was talking to them about what should I do, because he had a broken wrist, and they basically said to him, yes, you could do more damage to your wrist, but it is unlikely. It's going to hurt like hell, but it will heal by the time semifinals come around. You need to do these quarterfinal workouts because your career as a professional, if a career as a professional athlete in the sport of CrossFit is something of importance to you, you need to make a choice of, is this the time that you play hurt and play through with an expectation that you will make it to the next level? And he did. It was like, but his dad was like, but at the same token, if you decide not to, it's not a measure of who you are as a person, as a human being, as a future dad, as whatever you want to be. But at the same token, this is your job, and your job as a professional athlete probably comes with it playing hurt from time to time. So you're going to have to make that choice. And he did all 5 workouts. He did them as quickly as possible to limit the time under tension. And so if an athlete comes to the gym with a future surgery on the calendar and says, I'm going to go heavy on this back squat today, I'm gonna look at them, right? Like if they're the opposite of what you did, Greg, in that sense of, no, I'm just going to put 225 on the bar. Like who the hell cares? Right. Like that's a totally different, you guys see what I'm saying? I lost my thread there. Sorry.
No. Yeah. And I think it's that mental gymnastics that you said, right? And especially for someone like him, that's his job. But for us, regular folk, right, that just want to be able to come the next day, right, to do something at the expense of our future self, that, like you were saying, Jack, I mean, it's a type of impulse control and logic and reasoning that you have to walk through.
Yeah, so in that sense, Pat Vellner is saying I'll never do GHDs again. Like, totally agree with him. But that also, I would caution people, like, understand the context of what he's saying, right? Like, it's not a black and white, like, you should not have GHDs in your gym. You should not blah, 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 blah. Right? As a movement, it can serve as a positive medium for adaptation, positive physical adaptation, except if somebody has pre-existing issues or is dealing with some sort of injury. We have other means by which to facilitate those adaptations if necessary.
Eric, how do you when you're coaching GHDs? Because I don't do a lot of them. I feel really, I'm a big guy. I just feel really awkward on the machine itself. But when you're putting somebody on that machine for the first time, what do you walk them through?
So there's a nice little progression that they actually end up going through with the level 1 as well. We only have 2 of them too, so it's one of those, like, when we have time to go over the GHGs, otherwise we'll modify it to something else. But especially if it's someone new, I have them start with just sitting on it and getting that feel for. Looking for the restroom?
This car, no. The car's parked in front of me.
Time out.
So I went to. I'll just kind of give a little context for my question. When we travel, I like to go to different CrossFit gyms. Sarah doesn't like it as much because she's introverted and doesn't want to have to talk to new people.
I'm with you, girl.
So we were in. We got to go to this really beautiful place in Palm Desert and hang out with our friends. And I get really antsy sitting by the pool all day. So I went to this CrossFit gym, and they have the gal who is the owner there. She's an L3 and she's a former games athlete, and she's like, get on the GHD. So I got on it, and I think this was my second time ever getting on the GHD machine. And she critiqued me the whole time, gave me some good coaching and walked through it. So good, I never got back on the thing again, right? It's just because it doesn't feel right to me. But Eric, I guess now that you took care of the bathroom, looking for the bathroom.
Between the bathroom and it's a fun time of year. There's fishing charters that go out of here, and so you get a lot of random people that are never actually here. They're just here for this fishing charter. So cars park everywhere and everywhere they decide to, and so they can't find anyone. So they walk in the gym. They're like, "Hey, this car is blocking me." I'm like, sorry, I'm gonna lock my door. That and use the bathrooms anyway. Yeah,
GHD,
so I'll start
how
like
you
I'll
teach
have
them?
someone sit on the GHD, and again, always making sure like you start with that leg drive, right? Like a lot of people get on GHD for the first time, like and they never actually bend their legs; they just sit up and down. And I just have someone sit on it and work on just that straightening of the leg and feeling that pop of the leg, and then gradually just work your way back a little bit. And so even if someone who's new on the GHD, I may have them go quarter of the way, maybe halfway down, never all the way down, and just work on just like any other kind of progression. Layer it on and then find what's the sweet spot for that day, and then over the course of time we can build on that. But there's a lot of times where someone's for the first time, I'll have them maybe go back halfway, maybe go back a quarter of the way, just kind of start with that movement. As they get more comfortable, we'll lean back and make sure everything's locked in the way it needs to be. But it's just like anything else, you just got to go through kind of a progression and get them to feel what each part feels like, and then tie it all together. Just like a snatch, like you'll start with the stand and shrug, and then the high elbows, and then the turnover, like the Bergner warm up. You just kind of work through that progression. The GHD is the same thing. And
wasn't that our first episode of why do you ever need to snatch again? Do you remember? That was you brought that up a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was our first episode ever. Yeah, but so GHD is. There's a lot of things you can do in place of a GHD, but it has its benefits. And so if you get a chance to get on it. And it may, even in a workout, you may mix it up. There's 100 GHDs, I may have you do 10 this round and then 10 regular sit-ups, 10 this round, 10 regular sit-ups. So there's a lot of different ways to go with it.
So my last question, and this is, I'm glad that we kind of went down the rabbit hole of like of a GHD, right? Like such a isolated. A lot of gyms don't even have them. Like you may go through your entire CrossFit experience and never do a GHD sit up. You will still get fitter, still improve your health.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah. So how does, because there's a lot of, there's a lot of noise out there about what is the, shortest route, what is the most effective thing, like, oh my god, if you have to do X, like, and then for a while there it was like strength, then Metcon. It was Wendler, if you're gonna get strong you got to do 5 3 1. Then it was Bergner strength, you got to snatch, you got to do this, right? It's always something that is attractive and shiny, but in the end seems to always be noisy. And this is sort of the end of Andy's series of questions. How does somebody who's been doing this a long time navigate kind of all of those seemingly trends towards and away from things as you progress over the years?
That's a good question.
It's a good question. I don't know.
He's really smart.
Yeah, I don't know that I've given that a lot of thought. For me, I do notice that as I age, there are just things that my body doesn't like as much. So I stay away from those. I don't know, Eric. What would you say to that? Because you do this with a variety of people on a daily basis. So,
I think. It comes back to like what's the thing that keeps you going. Kind of come back to like what's the maybe you like the strength plus Metcon for a while, and then maybe eventually you're like, you know what, I'm actually good with just the Metcon, or maybe I'm just good with just the strength. What keeps you moving? And I think that will, like you said, people have seasons. I think we all have seasons where we wanted more of a strength bias and we wanted a conditioning bias, and vice versa.
Right.
And so I think the short answer to that is, well, I don't know. What do you feel like doing? What keeps you going, and that's where you start.
Yeah, I know for me there are days where I just don't have the motivation, and there's been a few days I've gone to the gym and I've only done the strength, and I'm like, okay, that's enough. I'm done. Yeah. I'm done today. I don't want to sweat and breathe hard today. I just want.
Sometimes the warm up is enough. Sweat enough for that warm up, right?
They used to. CrossFit always said that our warm up is your workout, right?
That's right.
All right,
I'm gonna do your workout today.
Yeah, let's see where their money is their mouth.
The class that Sarah and I go to, it's the 415 class at our gym, and it's all people who have been doing it for a very long time, and it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of complaining in that class because everybody's like, I don't want to do that and stuff like that, right? But I think because of the people that go to that class, there's a lot of experience in the sport, and there's great, like we talked about grace a few times today, right? There's grace for people who are hurt, and there's grace for people who just aren't feeling it.
Yeah.
I think it's also grace for just being like, where you're at for sure. Like I always think of Jack. You remember Lisa, one of our senior members, but she'll give herself a hard time after a workout, and she'll do something to be like, I did 6 rounds, but I used like the 10-pound dumbbell for the snatch to say, hey, that's all right, you were still moving. But yeah, Sophia used the 50 pounds. Well, Sophia's 20 years old and trains 3 hours a day and like make quarterfinals. So it's like, it's that, meeting yourself where you're at. Was that compared to the thief of joy? Like whenever you start worrying about what everyone else is doing too, like, working out may not be as fun for you if you're constantly looking at what everyone else is doing.
Babe, tell them about Adam.
So Adam is our coach, one of our coaches, and he's very young.
He's 22.
22.
He's built like me.
Yeah, he is built. Abs of steel.
No.
And he's just very funny, and he's very gracious, and he understands that, perhaps a 50-year-old body is different than his body, and he is no stranger to injury as well. But it is funny sometimes. I'll see him work out, and I'm like, how is that for you, having supple joints? How does that feel for you? It feels good.
Well, it's like fish in water. They don't even know that they're swimming in water, right? He doesn't even know because that's the absence of experience of just time. Like you can't replicate the amount of time that somebody has been on this planet and weathered existence. That only comes through time. I mean, you can explain it to him, and he can, as you said, like he's got a graciousness about him and a maturity of sort of emotional awareness, but at the same time, nothing.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, like, and that's okay. Like that's so. I love that you ask him that question in sort of a snarky-ish, like, because it is that, it's that favor you're doing him of like, hey, buddy, you still got a lot of stuff flowing through those joints. Enjoy it while you still can.
And also be gentle with your body.
Oh, right. That's a good point too. Yeah.
And because I think it's always the look back is much more clear, right? So I'm like, man, maybe I shouldn't have run all those marathons. And by all, I mean the 2 I did, but, and like the road races, the 5Ks here and the 10-miler, there, and now everything creaks. But one thing, it's very curious. He turns down the volume in the warm up. He turns the volume down on the music. And I appreciate that because he's trying to talk clearly and he wants everyone to have access to what he's saying. But in doing that, you can hear a lot of creaking. And so it's a bit noisy in that regard. So I almost I'm like, you don't understand.
Turn it up.
Just
turn it down, turn it up.
Turn it up.
It was one morning. Do you remember the, so you guys know the Junkyard Dog warm up? Bergner's Junkyard Dog? Familiar?
No.
I've heard of it. Remind me again, because I think they probably have done it.
So there's a
up and over.
Yeah, where you have the person on the ground, you jump over their arms, over their legs, over their arms, and then you do that, and then you switch to where you jump over them and then crawl under them. Yeah. Well, then during when Bergner was running their online, when they were running their online classes during COVID, they had to do the basically COVID version of the Junkyard Dog, which was with a PVC pipe, 1 minute straight jumping back squats, and then 1 minute straight seated strict press. And then eventually, okay, if you can get 60 and 60, move up to a barbell, right? And so we've been doing this, this Olympics lifting cycle for the last few weeks. And I was like, I'm going to do that as the warm up. I'm going to do the virtual junkyard dog, the 50, the 1 minute jumping with the PVC pipe, and then the 1 minute seated press. But the first day I did it at 5:15 a.m., maybe had 10 people in class. The first squat, a collective of I think from every single person. The first thing they did.
Well, it's
you could have heard it
one,
across the creek.
Number one, it's early, right? Your body doesn't want to move that early. And then number two, you're asking them to do something that is just not easy to do.
Yeah.
Like I could have easily said, go for a 400-meter run or jump on a bike for 2 minutes, right? No,
it's funny. Again, I come back to the street parking folks, but also Eric's adopted Mayhem affiliate programming recently, and I've been following them since just before the new year this last year, and the Mayhem stuff. But sort of like taking the two approaches and kind of looking at something that they share. It's funny. I love the way Eric said that whatever keeps you committed or consistent and sort of engaged. And then, like you said, Greg, that sense of sometimes the motivation just wanes. For the longest time, I was like, I do CrossFit, so I don't have to do buys, tries, and chest or this bodybuilding bullshit or accessory work. Like I fucking hate it. Well, Mayhem has been on since the end of those of us that did not make the next stage of the competitive season has been on like a bodybuilding cycle. And I will tell you what, it is so effing fun.
Really?
And I was thinking to myself, oh, this is what makes these programs successful and people who do them long-term successful is say yes to everything, right? Like, okay, what are we doing today? I don't like that at all, but okay, I will try it. Like I will give it a shot and you may be surprised. And then at the same token, as you said, Greg, like when there's something that comes up and you're like, no, I don't be okay. Just saying like, nah, I'm not doing that. Like, I'll ride the bike for the next 15 minutes while you guys do your bench press and your pies and stuff. Like that's cool. Like it's saying like the aperture is open to whatever. And if it works, it works. I feel like that is the one thing about CrossFit that if somebody's been doing this long enough and they've shown a consistency of it within the methodology, you will also probably find somebody who doesn't have anything against heart rate endurance intervals or traditional bodybuilding or whatever. Like they'll if we can incorporate that. Let's give it a shot. If it works, it works. If not, we'll kick it to the trash can for a little while because it is a methodology that truly is a results-based system that I've identified what I want, improved work capacity across broad modal and time domains. And if this thing that I do across 4 to 6 weeks positively affects that, then that's something that goes into the tool bag of, we'll come back around to that again next time, right? Like that sense of everything is on the table if it serves our end state, our teleological goal. And I think, and for most of us at this stage, it's, does it keep my interest and does it keep me moving well and in a way that supports my health long-term? Well, then sure, I'll freaking do it. Yoga. Okay. I hate you. Like I get so bored. No, thanks. But like I found myself doing for about 6 weeks-ish, 8 weeks, I was doing crossover symmetry with the bands every single day. And it was great. The last like 2 or 3 weeks, it's fallen off, right? Like, cause it was sort of, I was like, I'm bored with this and I'm doing something else in the warm up that's improving sort of. So I don't do the first time I squat, I'm not making that noise, or the first time I press overhead, it doesn't feel like nails on a chalkboard type of thing. And so that idea of open to everything. Yes. If it works, it works. If not, no thanks.
It's that idea of constantly varied, right?
Yeah. Wait, so, what'd you say? What is that word? What's that term?
but right.
Well like said, sir. Well said.
I'll go to a regular gym and I'm bored out of my mind. I mean, it's just not, and I appreciate the fact that people can do that. It's just not something that I
Please.
can ever see myself doing.
Give me that bike where you like sit down and you can put your magazine on and you can put your Diet Coke in one side and put out your cigarette on the other side.
Yeah. I was at a gym recently and they had the bike and they had a video screen and I was biking through the Alps and that was kind of cool. The first day I was there, and then I was like, all right, I did that. Now what?
Yeah, what else? Are we gonna throw some dumbbells in on this thing?
That's right. That's right.
Good stuff. But yeah, I think it's time to land this baby.
There you go.
That's good stuff. Love hanging out
Well,
with you guys.
I know that I'll speak for Sarah. We're really looking forward to seeing you, Eric, and hopefully, Jack, we'll see you while we're there and get to meet.
I put 9:30 on Thursday on my calendar just now as you were talking. So
great.
I'm gonna say yes, and with that, and now that I'm saying it now, I will probably be there.
That's awesome. Well,
it's a nice little imam too. It's an imam.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Well, I don't want to call it an easy imam because if it was an easy imam, then it would just be called your mom.
Oh, I see what you did there. But we're looking forward to seeing your community and getting to know your people. And I'm sure knowing Eric and knowing you, Jack, I'm sure you guys have done a phenomenal job building community there. So.
Well, Eric has had a year to fix all the things I broke before I left. So, and he's done a great job.
Let's kind of pile it all back in the corner. It's still there.
Oh, that's just like my therapist said. What I did with all. You do know you're gonna have to go in that room at some point. I'm like, I know.
It was like Monica's closet in Friends. The closet was like where stuff doesn't have a place; it just goes all in one closet.
Compartmentalization is probably very healthy, right?
I just built a new house. What the fuck do I need to go in that room for?
That's right.
I feel very seen right now.
Last time you guys, so it's been a while since you're on, but we always finish off with a little gratitude for the week. So if you had something you were gratuitous for, did I use that word right? Gratuitous?
Yeah. Sarah, I'll go first. Sarah and I have been going through, our family's been going through a lot. And we're really thankful. I'm really thankful for trained professionals who can help.
Yeah.
Well said.
Well said indeed.
Yeah. And I'm thankful for community because I do think we're designed for connection and the community that we've built at our gym, being able to go in regardless of how your day is. And, I have a buddy there. I'll say, how are you? He's like, I'm here. And he'll say, how are you? And I'm like, I'm also here. Right. And so that is the measure. And then we work out and we're able to laugh and joke about things. And I'm so grateful for that. And to have a fairly healthy arms and legs and lungs and to even be able to show up.
Yeah. It's a good one. Man, they set the bar high, didn't they?
Yeah, they got all deep and philosophical.
Hey, we only have to do this one time. You guys got to do this a lot of times.
I'm not thankful for hard-boiled eggs, so that's not my gratitude. Okay.
You got to do them better. Are you cooking them yourself or are you buying them somewhere?
No, we make them.
Okay. How do you do them? That's a little side. What's your process for hard boiling them?
Put them all in the pot, bring the water to a boil. Once it gets to a boil, shut it off for however long, and then take them out. Put
4
it
minutes,
in cold water.
4 to 5 minutes. Nice. And they don't turn out.
I also put I put olive oil in the water too. It helps because it helps get the shells. It helps
skin off.
Get the shells off. Yeah.
I got nothing for you. You are.
I always do vinegar. No, not olive oil. I'll have to try olive oil.
I've heard vinegar too. Yeah, I've heard vinegar too.
That doesn't make them taste weird. Does give them a vinegary taste. Man, you guys. Okay, well, I'm out. You guys are like rock stars.
I will say on top of leading to that. So making hard-boiled eggs, but my gratitude is so I'll say we just had Mother's Day, so mom's is like a toss. That's like a low-hanging fruit. But Meg in particular, it was funny because I got up Sunday morning and I made this cinnamon roll casserole, and then I put together a picnic and we went to this beach up the street. and took the kids and hung out at the beach. And then we got home and hung out for a little bit. And I cooked some steaks on the grill and I made dinner. And Meg was like, she's like, thanks for everything today. Like, it was great. And I was like, I feel silly, like being thankful for that, because it's basically what you do every day. Like, she's like, I basically just did your day, like on top of like, yeah, I rounded up the kids when it was time to go and made sure they were dressed, and we had diapers. And actually, no, I forgot diapers. So Axel had a poopy. We were out of the beach with a poopy diaper.
Was that yours or the kids?
He just had a poopy attitude.
And so, but it's funny. Like, I'm thinking, like, man, that was a full day. And but I said to Meg, I was like, this is basically like kind of your day on a daily basis. She just kind of smiled, but I think I got ahead of the game because Axel woke up at like 4:15 that morning, and Meg woke me up and she's like, he's been awake for like 20 minutes. Could you please take him? I was like, sure. I went downstairs and he was awake, and so she got to sleep uninterrupted for about another 4 hours, which is like, so I think I got ahead of the game. So I don't think there was much I could do to mess up that day after that point. So, yeah, she is the one, that's for sure.
Well, it's funny that Meg is your gratitude, because she was actually mine as well today.
Oh, yeah?
I wanted to tell you, I was holding the story. So I ran into her and Fee and Everett outside of Sam's Club. I think it was Saturday.
She had Axel, I had Everett.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
She had Axel.
yeah.
Sorry. And we just 10, 15, which for me, when I go to Sam's Club or doing my grocery shopping, I am in like, it is time to shop, get out of my way. I time myself. I do it as an AMRAP. And so it was very nice to like break out of that and stand outside of Sam's Club and talk to Meg for about 15 minutes. But outside of just that being really nice, she asked me, she's like, and she has a very disarming way about her when she asks questions of like, so how you doing? You usually just be like, I'm okay, I'm great, things are awesome, I'm the best, whatever. And I said, I'm okay. And she goes, just okay? And I was like, yeah, things are fine, like it's okay, just sort of normal. She's like, okay. And so she let it sit, but then we came back to it, and it, for me, it was this feeling of, I started a master's program in January at St. John's College in Annapolis. My. Combination of reasons. I have GI Bill left over, so they pay for it, and I get a nice little housing stipend. So it's like this nice little way of, don't really have to get back into the workforce just yet, but yet still have, income kind of coming in. But also, I've always wanted to go to St. John's. It's an amazing program, and it has lived up to everything I expected.
Wow.
While at the same time, it is completely disparate from anything else I'm doing with Nicole, the boys, the rest of my family. Like it is a completely separate thing. And I've been having this feeling of like, it doesn't feel right in the fact that it feels totally separate. And I was saying that to Meg. I was like, because everything I've always done has always incorporated everything of the family. And she looked at me and she goes, you're allowed to have something that's just for you. It's okay. Right. And I was like, and when she said that, I was like, oh, well, thanks. Like but she just said it. Not a day later, 2 days later, Nicole said something very similar, but in kind of overhearing, but in a very complimentary sort of way. Like it was sort of this sense of, I was the one coming late to the party and realizing that of, oh no, this is healthy. Like people do this. Like not everything in everybody's lives needs to be like all shared. Like yeah, exactly. And so actually what you can do for other people too is let them have something that is just theirs, like that sense. And so Meg really kind of started that ball of kind of awareness rolling for me. And I've been thinking about that, and I'm like, God dang, that is one smart fucking lady. Like she's
so wise beyond her years. She's always been that way, I feel like.
Yeah. So I was very grateful. And so I wanted to, so that's it. There you go. Meg gets 2.
Meg gets 2. That's
very cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us
too. A lot of fun.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun seeing y'all in 2 days.
In 2 days.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
All
Well,
right,
cool.
cool.
All right,
All right, we'll do the countdown to get out. 5, 4, 3. No, this is.
Oh, she's
Garrett's
out.
gone.
She's